Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's video where we're gonna be talking about the usage of the Primordial Wave spell of the Restoration Shamans. I'll give you some tips on how to improve the throughput of that spell, but first let's start with the basic usage. You wanna spread as many Riptides as possible, possibly on every member of your party, and then you wanna follow up with Primordial Wave, which also applies the Riptide, so if somebody's missing a Riptide, you can use that Primordial Wave to apply that to them. After that, you cast a healing wave, and that healing wave is going to cleave and heal everybody with Riptide ticking on them. That's it, plain and simple on paper, but there's 4 pieces of advice that I can give you in order to optimize that Primordial Wave healing usage. The first one is minor, but obviously this whole process takes some time to set up, and in order to speed it up a little bit, you can use Nature Swiftness to cast the healing wave. The second tip is cast a Cloudburst before you start setting up the whole process, as you're going to do a lot of healing and you can feed that into the totem. Although Primordial Wave could be quite powerful and it could cleave everybody in your party, it's a one-time deal every 30 seconds. That means that if you're under heavy AoE damage, you will probably need something to follow up with after that, and if you have a Cloudburst rolling, you can get further benefits from the Primordial Wave, and don't forget that you can manually pop the Cloudburst if you need to. And last but not least, you can take advantage of the Undulation talent. This one is a little bit more tricky to use because it buffs by 50% every third healing wave or healing surge that you cast, but the interaction with Primordial Wave is not what you would expect. The idea here is that you can cast some surges before you cast the healing wave that is going to cleave with the Primordial Wave in order for that healing wave to be buffed. However, this is not going to buff all the cleaves of all the healing waves triggered by the Primordial Wave, because the Undulation is consumed only by the first healing wave. However, the duplicate healing waves from the Primordial Wave are counted towards the Undulation counter. So not all duplicate copies will be buffed, but some of them will be at least if you had enough Riptide spread, so you duplicated at least 3 times the healing wave. So basically the only important part here is that you do not cast the healing wave just after you consumed Undulation with a healing surge. This is of course minor, but if you do it this way, you will trigger Undulation only once, because the initial cast and the first duplicate will bump the counter up to 3, then the next cleave is going to trigger the Undulation, and then the next few are going to trigger the counter again, but not consume it whatsoever. Long story short, I would advise to get some weak aura to track your Undulation stacks, and then if it's possible, play around in such a way that your healing wave after the Primordial Wave cast is going to be the initial Undulation consumer. And then the last tip that I have for you is that Primordial Wave is all about timing. Make sure you have DBM, Big Wigs or any other kind of timer so you know when the damage is coming and you can start the setup process about 6 seconds in advance. Let's go to some examples. Over here we're fighting Dresseron and I see that the downdraft is coming in about 12 seconds, so I'm dropping my Cloudburst totem right now in order to catch all the healing that's going to happen and eventually burst while the downdraft is actually going on. Right now there's only 2 Riptides rolling, but I'm starting to cast that spell. I'm also getting some lucky spreads from the tier set bonus. And as you can see pretty quickly, I managed to get the Riptides rolling on everybody in the party. I even overdid this a little bit because I still have to cast the Primordial Wave, and as there's 2 seconds remaining until the downdraft starts, I'm casting my Primordial Wave, holding on a little bit for the damage to start, pressing my Spirit Walker's Grace as I have to move while casting, and then sending in the healing wave, which cleaves to everybody in the party, heals them up, and shortly after the Cloudburst also pops up and keeps everybody at full health. Not the perfect timing, but as you can see, the main idea behind using that spell. Here's another example. We're fighting Gorak 2. I see that there's about 7 seconds until the Dread Essence hits, and although I don't have Cloudburst rolling at this point, I'm starting to spread the Riptides. As usual, you already have some rolling and some of them will expire. Over here, I'm pressing my Primordial Wave on the Monk as I don't have a Riptide on cooldown shortly after one of them comes up, and I cast it on myself. And then as the Dread Essence is casting, I'm already casting my healing wave, and when the damage hits, the Primordial Wave cleave is also going to hit and top everybody up except the Hunter, who I didn't have a Riptide rolling on. And then one last example where you don't have a timer. We're fighting some trash here and I'm using Riptide to do some maintenance healing. Over here, I'm pressing Primordial Wave on top of the Warlock. I should have probably Nature Swiftness Healing Wave, instead I'm hard casting it. And as you can see, it heals everybody with a Rip typed on them up to full and feeds it into the Cloudburst Totem, which pops up a little bit later and tops everybody up again. One last tip that I'll give you is that if you cast the initial healing wave on a target with a Riptide on them, they'll actually get almost double the healing because they'll get the healing from the initial healing wave and they'll also get a cleave of a healing wave on top of them. Hopefully that gives you a better idea on how and when to use the Primordial Wave. The cooldown is quite short, only 30 seconds, so press it as much as you can can't go wrong there. And if you want to see more better or worse examples on how to use it, you can catch some videos on my YouTube channel or my stream on Twitch. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, happy keying and take care.